Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming SCS exams happening in August 2024. As you know, my name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So let's look at the session plan. So first things first, I'll be sharing last minute tips with you to make sure that you walk into your exam with a positive mindset, because as I've been saying throughout this webinar and workshop series, if you are confident about your skill set, if you believe in yourself, and if you view questions with an open mind, chances of you passing the SCS exam is extremely high. Not just I'm saying it, the CIMA examiner in his comments had also mentioned this fact. So with this in mind, to make sure that you walk into the exam with the highest level of confidence and to ensure that you believe in your skill set, I will be sharing some tips which will ensure that you are in a position to improve your positivity. And at the very end of the session, I will be opening up for a Q&A. So by this time, you should have completed all mock exams. So definitely you would have questions and you can raise them to and I will be addressing all your questions and concerns. Okay, so what are you expected to do to maintain a high level of confidence? So in the fourth webinar, exam prep, I mentioned the fact that you need to adhere to a certain set of guidelines with the intention of ensuring that you conduct your preparations in the most comfortable manner. And on top of that, at the same webinar, I said that you need to do certain things to improve your level of confidence. So likewise, if you stuck to our study plan and if you, utilized our study resources, you know what I'm talking about. You know what you were expected to do on a weekly basis to improve your level of confidence. And on top of that, leading up to your exam, since your exam is just 4 to 6 days away, in the upcoming days, it's of utmost importance that you maintain the same level of confidence, which is not too easy, because by now you might be feeling exam jitters. You might, even if you have completed all 6 mock exams, you might still feel that you have not done enough. You'd feel that you need to go through theoretical elements. You'd feel that you have not attempted enough mock exams. So because of that, you'd try to purchase additional mock exams and try to go through them and see what type of questions will be tested. So all these different types of thoughts will be going in your head. So you need to know what you need to get right in the upcoming 4 to 6 days leading up to your exam. So before the exam, it's of utmost importance that you rest your mind and body. So with this in mind, we shared several study plans with you, and in each study plan, as you would have seen, in the exam week, which starts from tomorrow, what should you focus on? You should focus on redeveloping answer plans. You should not focus on attempting mock exams and whatnot. Instead, your focus should be on redeveloping answer plans. So why am I asking you to redevelop answer plans? When attempting mock exams, I requested you guys to do it without referring to any of the suggested answers, the answer plans, or the master classes. I wanted you to do I wanted you to be honest with yourself. I wanted you to attempt each mock exam on your own, with the intention of understanding, which gives you the opportunity to understand your shortcomings. Because if you understand your shortcomings, you can devise ways and means of overcoming your shortcomings when conducting your preparations. So when it comes to overcoming the shortcomings, redeveloping answer plans plays a major role. So that's exactly why in the upcoming days, you need to primarily focus your attention towards redeveloping answer plans. This is when you are revising theoretical elements once more. This is when you are working on your application skills once more. And on top of that, this is when you are focusing on coming up with appropriately structured answers. So when attempting the mock exam, you might have gotten 50 to 60 marks, but after you redevelop the answer plans, you know what you should have included within your answers, and you'd gain an in-depth understanding about how each syllabus area or how each theoretical concept should be considered when developing your answers or when structuring your answers. So before the exam, rest your mind and body. The only thing which you need to focus on is with regards to pre-developing answer plans. Don't do anything else. And do not refer to any study material, mocks, and whatnot a day before your exam. So if your exam is on Wednesday, you have to stop all your work by Monday. A day before the exam, you have to stop all your work. You have to start relaxing. Why am I asking you to do it? Because as I've mentioned throughout this webinar and workshop series, the CIMA exam is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. So if you have to play the role of a senior finance manager in the most successful manner, it's best that you are well rested. It's best that you walk into office with a clear mindset, with an open mind, because at office, what are you expected to do? You are expected to read your emails and figure out the type of information shared with you based on what's highlighted within each email. And considering this information, you are supposed to provide your recommendations or evaluations, thereby satisfying the board members. So that's exactly what you are supposed to do at your real exam as well. So at the real exam, in order to come up with the best type of answers, you need to consider what's highlighted within each scenario. And on top of that, you have to have a clear understanding about what each requirement or what each question asks you to do. So to make sure that you come up with the best type of answers, considering the information presented, to ensure that your answers are totally aligned with the requirements, I want you to walk into the exam with an open mind, because if you're open mind, if you have an open mind, then you will consider all the information presented. You will think about the arguments for as well as arguments against when conducting your evaluations. And whenever you are providing some type of recommendation, you will always try to back it up with justifications. Whenever you are presenting an argument, you will always try to back it up with appropriate justifications, considering your theoretical knowledge, considering what's highlighted within the pre-scene, considering what's highlighted within each scenario. So that's exactly why I'm asking you guys to stop all work a day prior to your exam. And it's best that you start thinking that you're the senior finance manager. From today onwards until your exam day, think like a senior finance manager. So at the exam, when going through your examination, think that you are actually working for this company. And it's best that you assume that Saefwell is actually your company, or you own this company. And as an owner of Saefwell, you will try to come up with the best type of solutions. When you are evaluating something, you will always consider all the necessary arguments for and against a certain situation faced by the company. So in order to come up with the best type of answers, I'm not asking you guys to memorize the answer plans or memorize any theoretical concepts. Instead, think that you're actually working for this company, or it's best that you think that you are actually the owner of this company. Because if you think like the owner, you will come up with the best type of recommendations. And when coming up with recommendations, you will always try to back it up with appropriate justifications. And on top of that, as I mentioned earlier, when conducting your evaluations, you will always try to think about arguments for and against a certain situation which is highlighted within the question or the scenario. And it's quite normal for you to feel negative, even if you had done your homework, even if you had completed all 6 mock exams, even if you had watched all the master classes, even if you had referred to the tutor feedback and taken measures to overcome the issues which are highlighted within your tutor feedback. Although you have done all these things, you will still feel some type of negativity, because it's quite normal for you to be stressed closer to the exam. When I was preparing for CIMA examination, however much prepared I was, I still felt some type of pressure closer to the exams. Why? Because this is not an easy examination. This is an extremely practical examination. Just because you know your theory, you cannot pass this exam. Instead, you need to really focus on your application skills. And if you look at the SCS exam, you cannot predict the type of questions which can be thrown at you and the type of scenarios which will be tested at your examination. So because of all these facts, it's quite normal for you to feel negative. So whenever you feel negative, always remind yourself that you have done your homework, that you always keep reminding yourself about what you have done across these 1.5 months. You would have completed a certain number of mock exams, you would have redeveloped answer plans, you would have watched master classes. So always constantly keep reminding yourself about what you have successfully achieved over the past 1.5 months. And on top of that, it's best that you always remind yourself that you just need 80 marks to pass. Although marks allocated out of 150, you just need 80 to pass. So this indicates that you can go wrong in certain subtasks. Even if you go wrong in 2 or 3 subtasks, you still can pass this examination. So if you have done your homework, and if you had put in a lot of effort in the past 1.5 months, you need not worry about the outcome of your SCS exam. You just need to focus on maintaining a positive attitude, and you need to always ensure that you believe in yourself, because if you do not believe in yourself, or if you do not believe in your capabilities, you are not fit to play the role of a senior finance manager. And it's best that before the exam, you are open-minded, because as I mentioned earlier, if you are open-minded, then you will come up with the best type of recommendations which are well justified. And on top of that, when you are evaluating something, you will consider all the arguments for and against a certain situation faced by the company, considering the information presented in each scenario, and considering the internal and external dynamics of Saefwell, which is highlighted within your pre-seen document. So that's what you are supposed to do before the exam. So at the exam, to maintain the same level of confidence and positivity, what are you expected to do? Simply stick to the exam technique routine, which you have practiced across the 6 mock exams which you have attempted so far. So as per our answering technique, which was highlighted and explained in depth in the 3rd webinar, I mentioned the fact that you are supposed to allocate 5 minutes to read through the scenario. Then you are expected to allocate 25 minutes to develop something called an answer plan. And once you have the answer plan at your disposal, the remaining 30 minutes should be spent on expanding the answer plan in paragraph form. So since you have practiced this technique throughout the 6 mock exams, by now you would have mastered it, which indicates that you'll never run out of time at your exam. And on top of that, you are spending some time to develop an answer plan, or to plan out what you are trying to include within your answers. Because most students out there, they do not spend time to plan out the answer. Instead, right after reading through the scenario, they'll start typing out the fully fledged answer, which should be avoided. So since you have practiced these techniques, it will help you to do the same at your real examination, because when you stick to the same methodology, since you have practiced exams or mock exams under exam conditions, it makes your life easy to get rid of exam stress at your real examination if you stick to this exam technique routine. Because if you run out of time, definitely it will lead to stress. So in order to make sure that you never run out of time, to make sure that you spend some time to plan out the answer and structure it appropriately, stick to the exam technique routine. Because if you focus on it, you can avoid pitfalls, you can avoid situations which will lead you to extreme levels of stress at your real examination. And even if you're sticking to this exam technique routine, you might feel stressed. It's quite normal for you to feel stressed, because it's not easy to sit in one place and keep repeating the exam technique routine over and over again 3 times over. And on top of that, it's not easy to really focus for 3 hours at a stretch, because if you look at the human brain, our attention span is just there for 45 minutes. So after the first 45 minutes, you will feel that you need to take a break, or you will feel some type of fatigue, especially towards the last requirement, because when you start with task number 3, you have already spent 2 hours of your time, which leads to fatigue as well as extreme levels of stress. So whenever you are exposed to this type of stress, especially towards the end of the exam, and on top of that, whenever you are exposed to certain subtasks which appear to be vague, because if you look at the past exam variants as well as the mock exams which we have developed for you, you would have seen certain subtasks to be vague, or you would have struggled with certain subtasks. You might have been clueless about how to tackle a certain subtask, or when a certain syllabus area is tested, given your theoretical gaps in theoretical knowledge, you might have struggled with them. So the CIMA examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge as well as application skills via this exam. The CIMA examiner, especially since this is your last CIMA exam, is trying to figure out whether you are capable of managing stress. Because if you deserve to become a management accountant, you have to have the capability to manage stress. Because if you look at the numbers, most CIMA students who end up passing the SCS exam or passing CIMA examinations, uh, you know, 5 years down the line, they start their own business. So if you start your own business, you need to have the capability to manage stress. If not, you won't be a successful businessman or a businesswoman. The same applies to anybody who is playing a leadership role in the corporate sector as well. So if you are a senior manager, or you might be a board member, you might be a CEO of a company in the future. So as a top ranking official of any given company, you need to have the capability of managing stress. You cannot crumble under pressure, because if that is the case, you are not fit to become a leader within any given organization. So with that in mind, the CIMA examiner is not just, as I mentioned earlier, not just testing your theory knowledge and application skills. The examiner is always trying to figure out whether you are capable of managing stress. So with that in mind, the CIMA examiner will include 1 or 2 subtasks which appear to be vague, or the CIMA examiner will come up with a certain subtask which you have not encountered when conducting your preparations. So what you need to do is, you should not really think about or be worried about these subtasks which appear to be vague, some subtasks which you have not which you were not prepared for. Instead, what you need to do is, you need to focus on the subtasks where you can really understand the requirement, give your best shot, stick to the answering technique, and whenever there's a subtask which is there with the intention of throwing you off your exam strategy, don't be affected by it in a negative manner. Try to give your best shot, because as I mentioned earlier, it's best that you maintain an open mind, an open or you have to be ready for anything. So having such an attitude will help when it comes to tackling questions or subtasks which appear to be vague. So whenever you feel stressed, whenever you are exposed to a certain subtask which is intended to throw you off your exam strategy, drink some water. It's best that you calm your nerves. However, you cannot do this if you are attempting the exam at home, because you're not supposed to keep a water bottle with you. And on top of that, in certain exam halls, you cannot, drink water. However, if you have the chance, always, make sure to drink some water so that you calm your nerves. And on top of that, as I've mentioned in the 4th webinar, it's best that you do everything under your control to calm your brain. So I mentioned the fact that if you are to come up with the best type of answers, you have to think in a rational manner. So if you are to think rationally, you have to utilize your prefrontal cortex. That's the front part of your brain. However, if you are panicking or if you are stressed, brain functions will shift from the prefrontal cortex to a small part of the brain, which is known as the amygdala. I explain these things in depth in the 4th webinar. So whenever you are feeling stressed, it will lead to panic. Panic leads to brain freeze. Brain freeze is a situation where you cannot think you're trying to come up with answers, but nothing comes into your head. You're trying to read through the scenario, but nothing goes into your head. So in order to avoid such a situation, what you need to do is you need to take action to switch off your amygdala. And the only way to switch off the amygdala is to focus on your breathing. So close your eyes and focus on your breathing for 2 minutes. Inhale through your nose, exhale from your mouth. When inhaling, focus on the tip of your nose. And when exhaling, focus on the tip of your lips. Feel the air coming into your system and feel the air leaving your system as well. So that's the only way to switch off your amygdala, because if you switch off your amygdala, it's as if you are functioning with a refreshed brain. So you can do this whenever you are exposed to some type of a stressful situation. Whenever you feel that a certain subtask is vague, close your eyes for 2 minutes and take steps to switch off your amygdala. And on top of that, before starting each task, so let's assume you are done with task number 1. Before starting task number 2, close your eyes and focus on your breathing for 2 minutes, because if you do so, it's as if you are taking a break or you are refreshing your brain. And once you are refreshed, it makes your life easy with regards to developing well-structured answers, high-quality answers. It will help you understand what's highlighted within each scenario. It will help you get rid of fatigue as well. So most students who end up successfully completing the SCS exam, what they usually do is they take a break, 2-minute break, by focusing on their breathing before they start each task. So it's best that you take a break or refresh your brain before you start with tasks 2 and 3. And whenever you are exposed to stressful situations, you will start doubting your capabilities of completing the exam, or you will doubt your capabilities of passing the SCS exam. If you doubt yourself, you cannot pass this exam. So whenever you feel doubtful about your performance, always remind yourself that you have done your homework and you just need 80 marks to pass, because there is no very correct answer when it comes to the SCS exam. You will gain marks based on the way in which you justify your recommendations, the way in which you present your arguments, as long as your arguments are well justified. And on top of that, when evaluating something, if you consider the arguments for and against, then you will get appropriate marks. So there is no very correct answer. This is not an academic qualification. This is a professional qualification. This is not an OTQ exam. Your marks will depend on the way in which you provide your justifications, or the way in which you argue a certain point. So as long as you argue appropriately, as long as you provide appropriate justifications, you will get marks. So even if you feel that you have not fared well at the exam, once you receive the results, you'd be amazed to know that you have gotten good marks. So the only way to get good marks is to stay positive and be open-minded throughout the examination, because if you're open-minded, you will consider all elements, you will consider all angles when developing answers, thereby presenting appropriate arguments for and against a certain evaluation which you are conducting. And on top of that, whenever you are recommending something, you'll always try to back it up with appropriate justification. So if you do that, even if you screw up 2 or 3 subtasks, you still can pass your SCS exam. So during the exam, always make sure to give your best shot, because as I mentioned earlier, if you conduct your evaluations appropriately, and if you provide appropriate recommendations, well-justified recommendations, you can pass this exam. And as I mentioned earlier, starting from today until the exam, as well as on the day of the exam, it's best that you remain open-minded. That's exactly why I'm asking you not to memorize anything when preparing for the SCS exam. I want you guys to go through the answer plans of all 6 mock exams 2 days before the exam. I highlighted these things in the first webinar itself. So when going through these answer plans, don't try to memorize them. Instead, try to get the logic of, try to understand the logic behind each answer. Try to understand why I've highlighted a certain point within my answer plans, which I've shared with you guys. So once you understand the logic, then it makes your life easy to implement the same logic when attempting your real examination. So this is what you are expected to do in order to maintain a high level of confidence, because if you believe in yourself, chances of you passing the SCS exam is extremely high. Okay, so having said that, we are happy to say that we achieved a 92% pass rate in the previous sitting. So these students stuck to our study plan. All these individuals had doubts closer to the exam. They were doubtful of their capabilities. Although most of them stuck to the study plan, they were always thinking about what their shortcomings are. Especially if when these students got 50 to 60 marks for their mock exams, they were really concerned about their performance. They were doubting themselves. But I always urged them to, or tried to motivate them to believe in their self, believe in their skill set, and believe in what they have done across 6 weeks with regards to preparations. And if you believe in yourself, you can definitely pass this SCS exam. And most of the students who stuck to the study plan, although the pass mark is just 80, they ended up getting more than 100 marks. So you can achieve a similar outcome if you believe in yourself and start relaxing in the upcoming start relaxing leading up to your examination. Okay, so having said that, I'm opening up for a Q&A. I'm going to pause the recording. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for those questions. I hope I addressed everything and you gained an understanding about what you need to do in the upcoming week leading up to your exam. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Simply click on the contact button and you would be directed to the get in touch area. Drop your message to so that our admin staff can get in touch with you. And if you want to email us, you can do so via info@study@tcs.com or WhatsApp us on this number. I invite you guys to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because the recorded versions of this workshop will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. And on top of that, via TikTok, as I mentioned earlier, you have the possibility of gaining access to 3 TikTok videos, which is a good mind map of the entire precinct document. So until your examination, keep watching these 3 TikTok videos over and over so that you remember what's highlighted within your precinct document. Having said that, it brings us to the end of our webinar and workshop series, which we conducted over 8 weeks. I hope you gained something out of these webinars and workshops, and I hope you have benefited from the study resources as well as tips which we shared. So I wish you all the very best in your upcoming SCS exam. As I mentioned earlier, it's quite normal for you to feel some type of stress, as well as it's quite normal for you to doubt yourself. So I'd ask you to let go of all this type of negativity and try to give your best shot. Think like the SFM of this company, or actually it's beneficial if you think that you really own this company. If so, you'd come up with the best type of answers. So there's no very correct answer when it comes to the SCS exam. You will gain marks based on the way in which you argue, as well as the way in which you provide justified recommendations. So in a nutshell, whenever you are providing recommendations, always make sure to back it up with appropriate justifications. And when you are supposed to conduct or carry out a certain evaluation, discuss arguments for and against a certain situation which is highlighted within the question. So I wish you all the very best. Keep positive, believe in yourself. If you do, you will pass this exam for sure. So see you, take care, and all the best.